first go was 1992. It was the second wave of pit closures. I was an executive of our unit at the time, and we come up here. It was then dwindling, I've got to say, to what it was in its heyday, but still very enthusiastic. And I've been now for 10 years on the trot, and it seems to have got better every single year. We used to rely on the coal for work, and the coal used to rely on the railways to move the coal, and our colleagues in the steel as well. It was so-called the Triple Alliance, which goes back to 1926, 74, 72, 91, all the pit closures, 84 to 85. We've always supported the mine workers, not because they're mine workers, because they've always been the first, in my opinion, to go to support other groups of workers when they needed help.
The National Union of Mine Workers will be forever grateful to his members for the support that they gave us during 1984-85 by refusing to cross picket lines. Over 500 of his members were sacked because of the support that they gave us. Please give a warm welcome to the General Secretary of the RMT, Bob Crow.
I'm speaking tonight. It's the third time I've spoken at the Durham Miners Gala tomorrow. Absolutely privileged that the Mine Workers Union in Durham have selected me to speak. And anyone who sits on that balcony or sits downstairs and listens to those brass bands go by and don't have the hairs on your back of your neck go up and tears come out your eyes, in my view, you're not a socialist.
President, brothers and sisters, it's an honour to be here for the third time at the Durham Miners Gala at the 125th anniversary and the 25th anniversary of the 84-85 strike. My union in the 1984-85 strike were two unions, the National Union of Seamen and the National Union of Railmen. We never moved a cobble of coal throughout that period, and as Davey just said, we had 500 of our train staff sacked for refusing to move coal on trains. In 1926, we refused to move coal and we refused to ship coal. More importantly, in 1974 and 72 and 92, we stood shoulder to shoulder with the miners. Why did we stand shoulder to shoulder to the mine workers? In our opinion, they was 20 years ahead of any other group of workers in Britain. They come to the assistance of nurses, they come to the assistance of every other group of workers that ask for their support. And you know, it sickens me when I see the 25th anniversary documentaries on the mine workers strike, when in 1984, at this particular time, in the July, the question that was being put to the mine workers and to the movement was, why didn't the mine workers have a ballot for industrial action? When I say 25 years after, they shut all those pits down. Where's the ballots when they're shutting the chorus stills down? Where's the ballots when they're shutting wharves down? And where's the ballots when they're shutting factories down week after week after week? And as a result of their vindictiveness against our union, the British Railways Board stopped our check-off, the way we pay our contributions. We've never got it back, and we're never going to ask for it back. But I'll tell you how much we lost as a trade union. We lost £5.23 million. That's how we lost. But I'll tell you what, we can look at ourselves in the mirror in the morning, knowing that we stood behind a group of principled people. And if we turn the clock back and someone says, do you want £5.123 million back in cash, or do you want to stick with the mine workers? I'll tell you what, we'll do it all and all over again for those principled people that took place. You know, brothers and sisters, people are saying that all of a sudden people's phones are being tapped. What's the big surprise? They've been tapping this movement for years upon years. And the reason why they want to tap this movement is that they've penetrated it. They've penetrated it with spies over the course of years to try and stop groups of workers fighting back. I travelled up here yesterday, and I'll be travelling back this afternoon on a National Express train. I can't wait till next year's Durham Miners Gala when I travel up here on a nationalised train. But I'll tell you something I want to do. I don't just want to travel to Durham on a nationalised train. I want to travel to Scotland. I want to travel to Wales. I want to see every corner of the railway industry brought back into public ownership. And it's a shame that this government and the previous government, because you see, nationalisation's an old trick, you know. Margaret Thatcher, when she was the Ministry for Industry, nationalised Rolls-Royce. It's the oldest trick in the book. You bring it back when it's a lame duck, you put taxpayers' money into it, and you flog it back off and make it into a white swan. Well, we should start putting alternatives up. Why should we only take industries back when they're lame ducks? We want the white swans back. We want the water, we want the electricity, we want the banks, and we want the insurance companies, and we want people to run it as a democratic, socialist organisation. And brothers and sisters, we shouldn't forget where we are at this moment. With all respect to the Labour MPs and MEPs that might be here today, you have to ask yourself a question. What's the difference in the main policies of both Liberals, New Labour and the Conservatives? They all support privatisation, they all support keeping the anti-trade union laws, and they all support illegal wars. That's why you've got BNP people being elected, because they completely feel that they're disillusioned and having no hope put in front of them. I'll tell you what, if the Labour Party stood up and said that we're going to renationalise the railways, stop the illegal wars, and start bringing these people, these industries back into public ownership, they would win the general election. Because the reality of the next general election is going to be is all three of the main political parties turning around and saying, how much can we cut more than the others? When pensioners asked for their rises to be linked to either inflation or what wages, whichever is the highest, we was told there was no money. When our kids went to universities and had debts around their necks, we was told there was no money. But just like old Tommy Cooper, the old comedian, just like that, when it comes to wars, to destruct communities, they can find billions, but they can't find billions to construct communities. Of course they can. And the way we're going to change it is not waiting for people in Parliament to do it, but we've got to do it here. And we've got to start saying that we want the eradication of not just the BNP, Griffin and co. We want to knock back their policies. You know, scapegoats have always been part of their propaganda. At the moment it's Eastern European people. Before that it was the Asians. Before that it was the West Indians. Before that it was the Irish. Before the Irish it was the Jewish. They live on scapegoats. And the reality is this, we all ask for simple things in life. We want a job. We want a house. We want decent schooling. We want decent pensions, a decent national health service, and we want a world that lives in peace. That's what we argue for. And what we should remember, just as working people are facing problems here, there are other groups of workers throughout the world that are facing far more problems than what we have. For example, the Palestinian people in their heroic struggle to get liberty. How can it be that people are saying it's a two-state solution when one state's got 200 nuclear weapons, the fourth biggest army in the world, and every time the Palestinian people dare to cough or sneeze, they go in and smash their country up? It's a fascist state that's operating from Israel, and they should be ashamed of what they did to the people in Gaza in December and January. Brothers and sisters, meetings like this give us an opportunity to reaffirm our faith and reaffirm our commitment to the principles of trade unionism and socialism. The reality is that one day coal will start being dug again under here. That will come about quicker if we raise the policies at the appropriate time. And what we've got to do, in my opinion, brothers and sisters, there's a charter going around called the People's Charter, and people should sign up for it. It's not an alternative political party, but it's a programme of alternatives to big business. Brothers and sisters, we need an alternative out there, and we just can't keep on relying on failed capitalist policies. Brothers and sisters, let's do something in this year leading up to the general election. Let's start saying that all the problems and the attacks that took place over working people in this 125th anniversary of the Durham Miners Gala that we want something different. And I'll tell you what that something different is. It's called socialism, and we should be proud to be mentioning the name everywhere we go.